Good morning, everybody. Benita here with your September forecast. And once again, we're using the Publishing Goblins Oracle dice set, and this is the second edition. And this one, if you got into the Kickstarter early enough, then you also got a card deck to go with it. So I always pull a card for the month. And the card this month is the Alleyman card. And the message with this card is to realize that nobody's coming to rescue you. Life isn't happening to you. Life is how you see it. So you can make your own heaven or hell from it, but you have all the power to make of your life what you want it to be and to see your life the way you want to see it. We can take any circumstance and say this is terrible, or oh, this is what I'm growing from. At the core today, we have the gift. And the message here is that everything that's been going on in your life, and I often say this to people, that what life is always giving us is training us in the gifts we're meant to offer others. So this is thinking about, of all the things you've gone through, what insights do you have? What strengths have you developed? And how are you able to support others on their journey as a result? And that way you know nothing you've been through is in vain because you've grown from it and you have more to offer in your contribution to the world. And I think it's really important that we think in terms of contribution, because if we think in terms of what's in it for me, what is life going to give me, eventually we end up really feeling just in a state of lack. Because if our thinking is always, what am I going to get? And we're not thinking about the balance of, and what am I offering? We stop being part of the flow of abundance. And eventually we end up alone and without very much to show for our lives. But if we think of life as, my soul came here to learn certain things, it came to contribute, and it came to learn how to love myself, love others, and receive as well as give. So if we're always giving and we never let ourselves receive, that's not balanced and that's not sustainable. And if we're always looking to receive and we're not giving, then, after a while, people and situations will drop away because we just become a vacuum pulling for energy. So we want to be part of that flow, that ebb and flow of energy going back and forth. So I dropped the die and a number of them left the mat. So that simplifies things a little bit today. I'm going to start off under history. And history is interesting because I always look at the chaos die first, and you're going to laugh when I show you this one. And it starts out with, it's kind of hard to see the symbol, but it's a dumpster fire. So what it's basically saying is just leave the past where it is. If it was a dumpster fire, it only gets carried forward if you bring it forward. And thank you, Sandy. Thank you, everybody, for popping in this morning. I appreciate that. So when we're looking at our history, we want to learn from it. We want to be informed by it as to what lessons we're carrying forward. We don't want to get stuck in it. So anytime you're thinking about something in the past and you're feeling anger towards somebody or a sense of injustice, you can get stuck there. So you always want to say, okay, that was the experience I had. Now, what am I learning from that? What can I take from that? Anybody that you kind of feel set out to ruin your day or ruin your life only succeeds if you continue to let them do so. My attitude is that if somebody's gone about making your life difficult, you always have a choice to have a fabulous life anyway, right? Don't give anybody control over that for you. Good morning, Karen. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. So the chaos die is saying, as for your past, don't attach to it. Our core patterns are designed to look for what's familiar. So a lot of my work with you, when I'm working with you individually or as a group, is to help you understand the core patterns you brought forward that are still affecting you today. Why are you in yet another unhappy relationship? Why are you stuck in a job you don't like? Why are you living in a place that isn't working for you? Your core patterns got you there. So once the patterns are helped to become conscious, you make decisions that suit the life you're living today and help you live a better life because the patterns are no longer stuck in the past, just creating the same scenarios over and over again. Okay, so one of the die that shows up under history is the candle. And it's about the things in the past that maybe you never really talked about. Maybe they're sitting quietly in your psyche. You might still be ruminating on stuff. And maybe you haven't talked about it because maybe people would call you on it and say, why are you still there? Why are you still dwelling on that? So it just sits inside you. Now the next die shows a separation. It might be a breakup your parents had. It might be lost relationships from your past, whether it was a love relationship or friendship. That hurt might still be sitting there, and it might be what you're ruminating on. There's two other interesting die that are paired with each other under history. One is the sun, and the other is snow. And the message here is one way to heal from your past is to uncover the good stuff that happened, the stuff that we often don't focus on because we tend to focus on what went wrong. And if you can't think of anything good from the situation, you might think instead of, how am I benefiting from that? Am I more wise as a result? Am I more compassionate? Am I stronger? What qualities have I developed as a person that I might never have developed had I not gone through the things I went through in the past? I think for myself, a lot of my awareness, a lot of my psychic ability came from being in situations where I had to be able to see a situation coming and do my best to respond to it more effectively. That's hard to do when you're a little kid and you can't control what's going on around you. But as you get older, those skills help you develop a way of seeing situations in a different light, seeing everything that happens to you as, what can I glean from this? How can I grow from this? Instead of feeling stuck, instead of feeling like a victim. So there's one more die sitting in our past, and it's the water die. And it is emphasizing there's a fluidity here. You can make of your past what you wish. You can flow from whatever happened into the present to say, I gained a lot from that. So we've seen in a lot of our past spreads for other months, there's been a lot of deep internal work from the past. And now it's saying, rather than dwell on the past, take what you learned from it, let the past go. But that doesn't mean burying it. It doesn't mean suppressing anything. It means saying, what did I learn from that I can carry forward in my life? What did I gain by those experiences that helped me live a better life and help me contribute to others? So that's all what we get from the past. Now, we have two die under foundation, and this is what leads to the present. So we have the sacrifice die, and we have the compass die. So it's saying, what do you need to sacrifice? What do you need to give up in order to set an aim for the present? Sometimes what we're giving up is our pity party. We give up feeling sorry for ourselves because it's a waste of energy. It keeps us stuck. It keeps us in victim mode. It does not help us to move forward. Sometimes we're sacrificing dysfunctional relationships. We're sacrificing a situation that we've hung on to because maybe it made us feel secure. Even though it was dysfunctional, it made us feel like, but that's my foundation. That's where I come from. So sometimes there's something that has to be sacrificed there. Remember, nature abhors a vacuum. So whatever you let go of makes space for what the universe wants to give you next. For example, if you want abundance, there's an old trick to gaining abundance, and it can be going through your home and moving out of it everything you're attached to from your past that no longer gives you joy. Maria Kondo talks about this. So as you let go of the things in your home that are not a reflection of the direction you're going, that space in your home acts the same way as the space of letting go of people and situations. Nature abhors a vacuum. It will rush to fill it with the things that reflect the direction you're going. And if you're working on yourself, the universe tends to reward that. It tends to give you the resources you need to make your future happen. So if you're not getting what you need, either something in you hasn't shifted, there's some work you need to do, say yes to the work on your path for the universe to support that, or you need to let go of something, or you need to look at a pattern that no matter what you do, doesn't let you receive. Okay, now we have 3 die sitting in the present. We have a skull. We have a dude with an arrow through his head. And we have a chrysalis. And you might think, well, that's a really weird and kind of ominous looking combination. But it's not. So what we're getting here is the skull is representative of the death card. The death card very rarely means death. It means the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new one. So we see that with the dude with the arrow in his head, which is about feeling like a victim, being wounded, and the chrysalis. The message of the combination of these is stop licking your wounds, start using them for your personal growth, and realize it's the end of that cycle of playing victim. What does the chrysalis mean? It means at this time you may be doing a lot of inner work, a lot of inner struggling and churning that nobody else can see or understand. This is not a time to look for validation from others. This is a time to do that inner work. The deep inner work is so inwardly focused that it doesn't say, hey, am I doing this right? What do you think? It doesn't mean don't take the guidance of a good teacher, but a good teacher is going to point you inward and say, what do you think is happening? What's this bringing up for you? For those of you who've worked with me personally, you'll notice that as I'm talking to you, if I see you suddenly having an emotional reaction or a potential epiphany, I'll always stop what I'm saying and say, what's coming up for you right now? Breathe into that. Because whatever's coming up for you is more important than anything I was about to say. So it's basically saying, do this in your life now. Give yourself the time and space to sit with what is coming up, to observe it, to become aware of it. Say, for example, you're reading a book, and that book is about personal growth, spirituality, what have you. As you're reading, if you notice yourself having an aha moment, put the book down. Sit with what's coming up for you. Give it space to come up and come to full realization. Use your studies, use your reading material, or working with your cards, whatever your tools are, as a framework for realization. We can get caught up in, oh, I read that book, and so now I know. Knowledge is something we grasp for. Wisdom is something we receive. Don't get stuck in the trap of, I know, because I read that, or I did that practice, and you're maybe just skating the surface. There comes a point where we need to just sit, go deeply inward, and feel all the stuff we've been avoiding. We need to receive wisdom, and wisdom is underneath the layer of those uncomfortable feelings we tend to avoid. So don't anesthetize yourself against the gritty work by going, I know, I read that, or I took that workshop, or whatever. There's coming a point for all of us, and it's coming now, where if we are to give the gifts we're meant to give others, we have to plumb the depths of ourselves to find that treasure. We have to dive down into those deeply uncomfortable feelings. Okay. So shifting into the future, it's saying there's going to be times of joy, even elation. There's a little bit of a warning there. Don't get so caught up in the realizations you have this month that you go, oh my God, I'm enlightened now and I have so much to share with the world. Take the joy, take the beauty of this work with a grain of salt. Stay centered, stay humble, allow yourself those moments of joy. Just don't attach to them, because there's also going to be more gritty moments. It's a bit of a roller coaster. The more you can accept all the feelings that arise with equanimity, so this is joy. So this is pain. The less you suffer. We suffer when we think the joy should just keep lasting. We suffer when we think there should be no pain. That's just not the reality of human existence. There's going to be joy and there's going to be pain. So the more you can just go, this is the experience I'm having in the moment. I'm just going to stay present for it. I'm just going to allow it. I'm just going to see where it takes me. You'll suffer less. Even when you have moments of self-pity, you can allow yourself that. Just don't get stuck in it. Just don't get stuck in the story. Have a little humor and compassion for yourself when you're in that state and say, okay, right now I'm feeling sorry for myself. Fine. Now, what's the next step to moving on to the next experience? How do I not attach to this and make this my story? And it can help to realize that the parts of us that suffer are not all of who we are. There's a limited ego consciousness that doesn't have its understanding of the whole. It gets stuck in its aloneness. I'm the only one feeling this right now, and I'm stuck, and life sucks. Realize that there's your higher consciousness, your observer consciousness, that can kind of step back and look at that small consciousness with compassion and lovingly support it out of that well. So bear that in mind, that you can kind of take a deep breath, step back, and observe the feelings. One way you can do that is to get out of the story in your head and instead go visceral. Where do I feel this discomfort in my body physically? And where do I feel it emotionally? And can I sit with those sensations and observe them and get out of the story in my head? Something amazing happens when we take a deep breath and we go deeper into our bodies and we just observe what that feeling feels like. And we don't give it a story. You'll always notice a shift that occurs. It's part of the concept of quantum physics, that the mere act of observation creates a material shift. We're not observing when we make ourselves part of the story and life sucks and this is bad and I'm a terrible person, or whatever the story is you're telling yourself today, which is always a skewed perspective. So when you can take a deep breath, step back and just go, okay, where do I feel this in my body as a physical sensation? Breathe into that area. Really get into that physical sensation. Now allow yourself to feel the emotion, but you're still just observing feelings. You're not thinking about the feelings. You'll be amazed how much that helps you shift to the next level of your awareness. Okay. The next eye is under momentum. What gives us the momentum to move forward? And it's so cute. You have this little goblin, and it's about uniqueness. It's about strangeness. It's saying on your journey to returning to your original self, getting over all this old programming that keeps us stuck, you may discover things about yourself that you never thought were true, and maybe you didn't want to think were true because you were taught to see yourself a certain way. Try not to fight that. Celebrate your uniqueness. If you start to do and say things that aren't like you and people go, oh, that's not like you, you can say, yeah, I'm growing. I'm evolving. I'm changing. I'm discovering things about myself I didn't know. I'm giving space for aspects of me that have been suppressed my whole life to come to the surface, to play, to create, to help me become wiser, to contribute to my decision making. There's so much more to all of us than we know so far. So this month, as you're moving through that inner work, if you notice things coming up, you notice you're thinking of something differently, maybe you have a desire that you were taught was taboo, but it's coming up for you. Allow yourself to explore it. Even if you're not at the point where you're ready to show that part of yourself to the world, allow yourself to acknowledge it. Because most of us exist along a continuum. At one end of the spectrum is this part of us that we were conditioned to be, and way at the other end might even be the opposite perspective. And if you're willing to sit with both and give them a chance to communicate with each other, they'll often come to a middle ground where both can coexist, either very happily or at least somewhat so. And that middle ground is then where you can operate from. But if you can't acknowledge the extremes, you're only ever playing with part of your deck, and you're missing on all the wisdom, power, and beauty of the parts of you you've suppressed. All right, so the next dice is under inevitable, and we get this, and it is the eye of truth. So it's saying even if you try to hide from your own truth, it's going to show up eventually. You might as well embrace it. Better to embrace everything showing up for you in this life than to have to come back and do it again, only maybe with more karma, because the universe will keep putting in front of you something external to show you what's inside of you. And the more you push it away, the bigger it has to make that until your life becomes chaotic. If you don't want chaos out here, face the chaos inside of you. And I'm going to give you a tool for that. Think about people you meet in your life that drive you crazy, or you see as having a very negative trait. Ask yourself, what part of me are they holding up a mirror to that I don't want to see, so it has to be externalized? When you can find that in yourself, first of all, it's going to help you understand the person better, and whether you have a relationship, continue with them or not, or whether it's somebody you meet in passing. It'll give you more compassion for humanity in general and the crazy journey we have of living the human life. It'll help you understand yourself better and eventually help you take the things about yourself you don't like and make them part of your gift as well. Because those parts of you, when they become conscious, are beautiful, constructive parts of you. Guaranteed. I've done a lot of shadow work. I've yet to see something that I disliked or feared to begin with not turn into something beautiful and powerful. Okay. And that's my journey, but I've helped others through it as well. A lot of the work I'm doing is helping you fall back in love with all of who you are. And boy, is that ever a powerful journey in itself. Last dice is under fated. And this dice, this symbol, is all about fluidity. It's saying, this is your ball game. This is whatever you do with it. You have choices here. You can hang on to the past and keep ruminating on it. You can dive deep and let go of the past, but just use it as, how do I want to move forward? You can dip your toe in the water in the work I'm suggesting for you this month. You can ignore it completely. I will say, though, life is coming for you. And if you don't do the work when it's presented, you will have to do it later on, but it might be harder. And what are we all here to do? To wake up before we die, and wake up more in the next life and the next life. So if you can do the work that's in front of you, even if it's hard and gritty work, I guarantee you life gets better. And your ability to deal with the challenges in life becomes more skillful. And if you don't know what the work is that's coming up for you, you don't know what the patterns are that you're dealing with, reach out to me. Whether we work by Zoom or we work in person at my office here in beautiful Nanaimo, I'm ready to do this work for you, to support you really to do the work on yourself. But I'm ready to help you see what's inside of you that you're not seeing and harness that energy to tackle whatever's going on in your life, whether it's relationships, career, your spiritual path, your health, finances, whatever. The more of you you have sitting around the table weighing in, the more you're going to live the life that you want to live because you're working with more cards in your deck. Thank you very much for tuning in, folks. I'm going to try to get a chance in the next few days to come on my Facebook and do some one-on-one card readings for you. You know, pull a card for whoever shows up and asks for it on the feed. Not able to do it this morning, but I'm really glad that you tuned in. You can see what's coming up for us in September, and I will check you out soon. And if you want to see more of my work, I have over 110 videos on my YouTube channel. There's lots of wisdom there. So absolutely jump in, see what other things I have to offer you. And if you're looking for that very specific information I can give you, you don't even need to know why you're coming to see me. I can't tell you how many people have said to me, Benita, I'm lost. I don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm able to help you get on track. In fact, that's usually a really good sign that the past is dropping away and you have that void in which to allow something amazing to come for the future. All right, folks. Annika says, amazing forecast. Thank you so much. You are so welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys again soon. Love you. Bye for now.